If you've been following the gaming space for any length of time, you already know the reputation Alienware carries. Historically, when you see that iconic Alien logo, you immediately think of a massive, hyper-premium flagship machine that carries equally massive price tags. For a long time, it felt like the brand was exclusively reserved for enthusiasts who had thousands of dollars to drop on maximum performance. But things are shifting a bit in 2026, and Dell has made a commitment to expanding their gaming portfolio, and they just dropped the new Alienware 15. Now let's clear up some confusion right off the bat. This video is not a full review. I'm not breaking down anything in this video. Instead, we're just going to go over the specifications, the fresh hardware changes, and how Alienware is repositioning this model as a more accessible entry point into their ecosystem. The full deep dive review will be live on Techaeris.com in the coming weeks, so definitely keep an eye out for that. For now, let's get into what this machine actually brings to the table. Hey guys, it's Alex from Techaeris, and I'm back with another video, this time with the Alienware 15. The first thing you notice when you get this in your hands is that Alienware took a very deliberate and practical approach to the design. If you look at their higher end lines, you're probably used to that extended rear thermal shelf that sticks out behind the display hinge. On the Alienware 15, that is gone. Instead, they went with a more conventional clean design where the display hinge sits right at the edge of the chassis. When you open the lid, it leaves a slight structural gap at the bottom to maximize air intake, which gives it a remarkably streamlined footprint. The chassis itself is constructed from a rigid polycarbonate resin. While it's not the full anodized aluminum or magnesium alloy you find on the flagships, it does feel very robust. Dell actually states that this housing is drop tested up to 18 inches on its face and corners to handle daily travel. Size-wise, it features a 15.3-inch display footprint, measures roughly 0.90 inches thick, and weighs in at around 4.96 pounds, just under that 5-pound threshold. It's not a hyper-light notebook by any means, but it's practical enough to slip into a backpack for daily commuting while still functioning as your main gaming station. Now let's talk about that elephant in the room, how this fits into the current laptop market. Well, right now buying a gaming notebook can feel a bit brutal because memory and component costs are up across the industry. Finding a premium option that doesn't completely drain your bank account is getting more and more difficult. That is exactly where the Alienware 15 steps in. It's positioned as their core entry to mid-range option, launching at a base price right around $1299. But just because it's priced low doesn't mean you don't get to configure it. You do get a choice of an AMD Ryzen 5 220, Intel Core 5 210H, and that is the base tier. For the mid to high tiers, you can get an AMD Ryzen 7 260, Intel Core 7 240H. As far as graphics, for the base tier, you can get the RTX 4050, or on the mid to high tier, the RTX 5050. For the base tier on memory, you can get 16 gigs at 5600 MTS, and the mid to high tier, you can kick that up to 32 gigs. And for storage, the base tier is 512, and that is a PCIe Gen 4 SSD, and the mid to high tier will cost you a little more if you go with the 1 terabyte. So there are options out there for configuring these laptops. It's going to cost you a little more than $1299 if you decide to, upgrade the RAM and the SSD, or even the GPU. But that $1299 price point is going to get you a pretty good machine, I think. By offering these variant tiers, they're keeping the entry barrier relatively reasonable for an Alienware machine. You aren't paying for extra luxury materials, you're paying for the foundational platform, the engineering, and the brand stability standards. Opening up the lid brings us to the display. Dell opted for a 15.3-inch panel with a 16:10 aspect ratio. I've said this many times on this channel before, but 16:10 is an excellent choice for a modern display because that's extra vertical real estate, gives you more room for general web browsing, documents, or video timelines. It features a fast 165Hz refresh rate and support for AMD FreeSync, which should ensure smooth frame delivery without screen tearing. The brightness scales up to 300 nits, which is perfectly okay for indoor gaming setups and standard office environments. Might struggle a little bit in the outdoor, but this is an entry-level mid-range laptop, so you gotta take your bruises and hits sometimes. Now, to keep this model more affordable, the color accuracy scales at 62.5% sRGB coverage. If you're a professional colorist or a high-end video editor doing color critical work, That's probably something to keep in mind. But for core gamers and core gaming, everyday media consumption, and general productivity, its responsiveness fluid panel that focuses its performance where it matters most for frame rates. Let's talk thermal management and performance here. Performance on a gaming laptop is only as good as its cooling system. If the internal thermals aren't handled correctly, your frame rates will tank the minute the hardware gets warm. For the Alienware 15, they brought down their Cryotech cooling philosophy, but optimized it for this specific chassis. The bottom of the notebook features an array of over 2,000 independent air inlets. This forms a dedicated cooling structure that draws high-volume fresh air inward, strategically channeling it directly over the core performance components. The heat dissipation is managed by 2 high-efficiency internal fans paired with 3 thick copper heat pipes, routing the warm air straight out through a single large rear exhaust vent. A nice addition to the software side is the stealth mode hotkey mapped directly to the F7 key. If you're in a quiet environment like a classroom, a library, or an office meeting, clicking F7 instantly shifts the system profile from performance down to quiet mode, lowering that fan noise immediately so you don't draw unnecessary attention to yourself. And I will tell you that we did some gaming on this initially, and those fans do kick in when you're playing those games, so keep that in mind. Moving down to the input deck, the keyboard layout is quite spacious and includes a full numeric keypad on the right side, something I hate, but I know you guys love, so there you go. The keys themselves have a nice tactical response, and the entire layout features a full white backlighting that can be customized to the Alien FX software ecosystem to match the rest of the desktop accessories you have. Below that sits a large, clean precision touch pad that features a fingerprint-resistant coating to keep it looking clean over long sessions. For connectivity, the Alienware 15 keeps a healthy selection of physical ports, meaning you won't need to carry an endless collection of dongles. On the right side, you'll find a standard 3.5mm universal audio jack alongside a USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-C port. On the left side, you get an additional 2 US 3.2 Gen 1 Type-A ports for legacy accessories, a full-size HDMI 2.1 output for external monitors, a dedicated 1 gigabit per second RJ45 Ethernet port for stable wired gaming, and a secondary USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C port that supports up to 100 watt power delivery. Having that 100 watts Type-C charging capability means you can use a smaller universal power brick when you're just traveling for work or school and leave that big, huge brick power adapter behind. All right, so what are my final thoughts on the Alienware 15? Ultimately, the 2026 Alienware 15 represents an interesting move for Dell. Instead of chasing that absolute highest peak spec or the thinnest possible profile, they engineered a practical, durable platform designed to bring their baseline build quality down to much more reasonable price points. It keeps the core aesthetic elements like the classic iridescent alien head on the lid, but shifts the focus toward everyday durability, reliable cooling, and a sensible component configuration. As I mentioned at the start, I'm going to be spending a lot more time with this machine over the next couple of weeks to see how it handles, and we will have a full review over on Techaeris.com, so make sure that you stay tuned for that and you hit the site and come visit the site. We appreciate the traffic that you guys give us, and it is very helpful, and all that stuff helps the site out, helps us to keep growing, and helps us to stay maintained. But I do want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about Alienware stepping firmly into the mid-range market with this design? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, but don't forget to hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure that you click the notification bell, make sure you comment below, like I said, and make sure you share with a friend, share with your social media, share everywhere you can, and help this channel grow. We are growing. It is a very slow growth, but we are doing it, and that is because of you guys, and I appreciate you guys highly, so thank you so much. And as always, the most important thing to me is that you take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we will talk to you on the other side.